My name is Margaret. I'm 82 years old, and 3 different doctors once told me I wouldn't live long enough to meet my grandchildren. One said my heart was a ticking clock. Another warned me that my breakfast alone could kill me. And the youngest doctor actually laughed when I told him I still cooked with butter. But last Sunday, I stood in my kitchen making bacon and eggs while all 3 of those men were already gone. That's when I realized something most people are too afraid to say out loud. A lot of people today are surviving, but they are no longer really living. And before you click away thinking this is another lecture about food or aging, it isn't. This is about fear, the quiet kind. The kind that slowly drains the joy out of people without them noticing. Because I look around now, and honestly, people seem exhausted, not just tired. Emotionally exhausted. Everybody is measuring something. Calories, protein, steps, blood pressure, sleep scores. People can't even eat breakfast anymore without feeling guilty about it. Last month, my grandson walked into my kitchen and stared at my plate like I was breaking the law. 2 fried eggs, bacon, toast dripping with butter, coffee with heavy cream. He said, "Grandma, your doctor allows that." I laughed so hard, I nearly spilled my coffee. Because the truth is, most of my doctors hated the way I ate. One handed me a chart back in 1992 that looked more like a punishment schedule than a meal plan. No butter, no salt, no pork, no dessert. Basically, no happiness. I remember sitting in that cold office while Der Stern adjusted his glasses and told me, "Margaret, if you continue eating this way, your heart won't survive another decade." He said it so seriously, too, like he was delivering tragic news. Then he slid that paper across the desk toward me and gave me the same look people give reckless teenagers. Pity, disappointment, concern. I took the paper home, stuck it on my refrigerator, and 2 days later, I ignored every word on it because that Sunday morning I pulled a pork roast out of the oven, heard the potatoes sizzling in butter, smelled garlic filling the kitchen, and suddenly I thought, if staying alive means fearing every beautiful thing in life, what exactly am I protecting? Now listen carefully. I'm not telling people to ignore doctors. I'm not pretending health doesn't matter. What I'm saying is something different. Somewhere along the way, people stopped enjoying their lives. Everything became optimization. Even pleasure feels stressful now. People call dessert a cheat meal. Think about how sad that phrase is. Cheat. As if one slice of cake means you failed morally somehow. I had lunch with my granddaughter recently, and I watched a woman at the next table spend 10 full minutes apologizing for ordering pasta. Apologizing for pasta. Meanwhile, she looked absolutely miserable the entire meal. That's when it hit me. People are no longer eating with joy. They're eating with anxiety. And anxiety changes people. I've seen it happen slowly over the years. The people who become obsessed with controlling every bite often lose something else too. Warmth, spontaneity, softness. Life becomes a constant performance of discipline. But every meaningful memory I have somehow involves food. Fresh biscuits on cold mornings, birthday cakes covered in candles, coffee shared after funerals, late night pie in crowded kitchens. Food is memory. Food is comfort. Food is human connection. I still make the same pork roast recipe my mother taught me after the war. I still remember standing beside her tiny stove in the late 1940s, watching butter melt in a cast iron pan. The kitchen windows would fog up from the heat. My father would walk in smelling like cold air and cigarettes. And somehow, for those few hours, everything felt safe. That matters. People forget that emotional nourishment matters too. Now let me tell you something else that shocks younger people. Every morning for 60 years, I've had 3 cups of coffee. Strong coffee, not decaf. Not oat milk foam with cinnamon dust. Real coffee. And yes, heavy cream. The thick kind. A few years ago, my granddaughter dragged me into one of those modern coffee shops where everybody orders drinks that sound like chemistry experiments. The poor girl behind the counter looked exhausted before we even ordered. When it was my turn, I simply said, "Hot coffee, real cream," and she smiled. Actually smiled, like she was relieved somebody finally said something simple. That's what people are craving now. Not perfection. Relief. Relief from constantly monitoring themselves, correcting themselves, improving themselves. Modern life has turned people into full-time projects. And honestly, I think it's making them unhappy. I had a friend named Evelyn who spent her entire life waiting to enjoy herself. Beautiful woman. Elegant woman, always working on herself. She owned gorgeous silk dresses but never wore them. Every time we invited her somewhere nice, she'd say, "Not yet. I need to lose a little more weight first." Or, "I'm saving that dress for a special occasion." 40 years she said that. 40 years. Then one Tuesday evening, 2 weeks after retirement, she fell asleep in her chair and never woke up. I helped her daughter clean out the house afterward. Those dresses were still hanging there untouched. Some still had tags attached. And I remember standing in that closet, feeling physically sick, thinking, how many people are doing this right now, saving their lives for later, saving joy, saving rest, saving love, saving themselves, waiting until they finally feel worthy enough to enjoy being alive. But life does not wait. That's the tragedy. One day your someday quietly becomes never. After Evelyn died, I stopped saving things. I use the nice dishes now. I wear perfume on ordinary afternoons. I burn the expensive candles on random Tuesdays. Not because I'm reckless, because I finally understood that ordinary days are your life, not vacations, not milestones, not perfect moments, just regular mornings, regular dinners, regular conversations. That's where life actually happens. And honestly, I think that's one reason I've made it this far. Not because I followed every rule, because I stayed emotionally alive. I laughed loudly. I stayed curious. I enjoyed things fully while they were still here to enjoy. Meanwhile, I've watched people half my age become terrified of aging, terrified of wrinkles, terrified of carbs, terrified of rest, terrified of slowing down. That kind of fear exhausts people. I truly believe constant stress ages the body faster than butter ever will. You can see it in people's faces now. Everybody looks tense. Even at birthday parties, people are calculating calories while eating cake. What kind of life is that? At 82, I understand something now that I wish more people learned earlier. You do not get extra points at the end for denying yourself every pleasure. Nobody reaches old age and says, I wish I had worried more. They miss the dinners, the laughter, the smell of coffee in the morning, the people they loved. That's what stays. So yes, take care of yourself. Respect your body. But don't become so afraid of living that you forget to actually experience your own life while it's happening. Cook the real meal. Call the person you miss. Wear the beautiful outfit hanging in your closet. Because this ordinary Tuesday, this might actually be the special occasion you've been waiting for. I'm Margaret. I'm 82 years old. And after everything I've seen, I still believe the healthiest people are often the ones who never stopped finding joy in being alive.